Stardom is a promotion that has a lot of freaking belts. Some would even say too many. Currently, they have 5 singles belts and 5 multi-person belts active. So at any time, up to 10 different wrestlers could be holding a belt. That's almost half their entire roster. Recently, I was just going about my day when a thought popped into my head. I wondered, who has the most belt challenges, I thought to myself, before immediately thinking Jungle. Then I thought, hey, that would be a cool video to make, so I started my research. Like with all of my stat-based videos, I will be using only Stardom-signed wrestlers, and I will only be taking data from 2016 to present day. The last show to be considered is the show on the 26th of January, or Kagetsu's last Stardom match show. So let's get to it and see who challenged for titles more than anyone else. Tell me in the comments who you thought the top 3 would be before watching the video. I'm curious who you thought was going to be on top. Starting off, I want to show off a bar graph I made that took way too long to do. This will show us the total amount of title shots every Stardom signed wrestler has had, except for the rookies and underage wrestlers, and Leo. I thought it would be cool to make a graph moving so that you could watch as people drop off as it goes on, to see who goes on to be number 1. So here it is. So as you can see, there is quite the difference between number 1 and 2, and then it's pretty much evenly laid out from there. So starting at the top, we have Miyagi at 5, and if you're wondering why Miyagi is at top, because her first name is Andris, which puts her above Arisa. I just put Miyagi because that's what I call her and that's what I know her by. So she has challenged for 5 belts total in her career in Stardom. Moving on to Arisa, she has only challenged for 3. Now remember, this is not counting anything before 2016, so what she did way back in her first run in Stardom does not count. Next is Azumi with 8 title shots since 2016. B with 8 as well. Julia with 0. Unfortunately, the cutoff point for this video was the 26th, because if we're using the next show that technically hasn't happened yet at the time of this recording, she would have won there because she's about to challenge for the artist belts. Next is Hana Camera at 13 title shots since 2016, and she basically debuted in 2016. So since her entire career in Stardom, she has had 13 title shots. Next is obviously the winner at Jungle Kyona at 23 title shots since 2016. I believe she debuted in 2015, so I don't know if there are too many other title shots that are missing from the list, but if there are, it's probably only 1 or 2. Next we have Konami at 9. Then Mayu and Momo tied for 15 title shots since 2016. Now this one kind of surprised me a little bit, mostly because of Mayu. I just don't really think of her in title shots very often. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. I don't know why, but I just never think about her going after the belt. Next, we have Natsuko Tora at 9. Then Saki Kashima at 8. Starlike Kid at 9. Tam Nakano at 12. And Itami at 7. In Utami's 1 year of wrestling, she has challenged for 7 belts. That is crazy. That's almost 1 every 2 months on average. Even less than that probably. Like 1 every month and a half or something. This is just crazy. I wasn't expecting Jungle to be number 1 by that much. I was expecting Jungle to be number 1, but not by that much. I mean, there is a total of 8 title shots in between her and second place. I also wasn't expect Hana to be that high up. I don't know why, but it just didn't really click to me that she has been in that many title shots in 3 years. Tam was kind of interesting because in the beginning, she really didn't do anything in a good chunk of her beginning of her career in Stardom. She kind of she joined Odotai and then she went off to be their manager while she was recuperating from injuries and stuff. I was really happy to see Azumi get a lot of title shots at 8. Of course, Kid had to have beat her at 9, like always. So now that we know the total title shots, let's move on to individual stats. For this, I have made up cards that are going to be used so that we can see how every single person has challenged for what in every single year. Now, as you guys know, my Photoshop skills are crap. The cards are not going to look very good, so just, bear with me a bit. Starting off with Andris Miyagi. She has challenged for the white belt a total of 1 time, the goddess belts twice, and the artist belts twice. And all of that was in 2019, which makes sense since that's the year she joined Stardom. She has no other title shots in Stardom, and she might not even be in Stardom anymore. We don't know. We don't know anything about her, which is really annoying. Moving on to the next, we have Arisa Hoshiki, who has challenged for the white belt once and the goddess belts twice. Of course, all of this happened in 2019 because that is the year that she returned. So just like Miyagi, there really isn't too much to say about her either. Moving on to the next person, Azumi. She has challenged for the high speed belt 3 times, the future belt twice, and the artist belts 3 times. Now, for those of you in the know, you might be thinking to yourself, oh wow, 3 artist title shots? That's it? Why that's so crazy is because Azumi is a 3-time artist belt holder. Meaning every single time that she has challenged for those belts, she got it. That's crazy. For most of these, no one has actually challenged for anything in 2020. I believe only 3 people have. And of course, because Jamie Hayter is not signed to Stardom, I did not include her. So only 3 people have challenged for belts in 2020. So in 2019, all 3 of her high-speed title shots were from that year, and only one of the artist belts shot was from that year. In 2018, she challenged for the future belt twice, which makes sense because that was the year the belt was introduced. You can't challenge for a belt that hasn't been, existed yet. And no other title shots, which was kind of shocking to me in a little bit because 2018 was such a weird year. It's not that far ago, but Stardom was completely different back then. If you think about who are in the forefront right now and like who are getting shots right now and doing stuff, it would be so different in 2018. I mean, Io was still there in 2018. Then we're moving on to the earliest year that she has challenged for a belt, which would be 2017, with 2 Artist of Stardom title shots. And she won the title on both of those. Now, moving on to the Trader, B. She has challenged for the red belt twice, the white belt once, the SWA belt once, the goddess belts 3 times, and the artist belts once. She is one of the 3 people who have challenged for something in 2020, and that was the goddess belt with Jamie Hayter, which she won. In 2019, she challenged for the red belt once. That was the only belt she challenged for that year, and she won it. In 2018, she challenged for the white belt once, the goddess belts once, and the artist belts once. I don't believe she was successful in any of those. In 2017, she challenged for the red belt once, the SWA belt once, and the goddess belts once. And I don't believe she was successful in any of those either. I believe 2019 and 2020 are the only years that she got belts. Moving on to Hana Camera. With her, I believe it was 13 total. She has challenged for the red belt twice, the white belt twice, the goddess belts 2 times, and the Artist of Stardom belts 7 times. That's where all her numbers come from, folks. She has tried to get those belts 7 different times with a bunch of different people. Hana Camera has not challenged for any belts in 2020 yet. Like I said, only 3 people. So moving on to 2019. She challenged for the red belt once, the goddess belts once, and the Artist of Stardom belts 3 times. 2018, she challenged for the red belt once again, and the artist belts twice. And in 2017, she challenged for the white belt twice, the goddess belts once, and the Artist of Stardom championship titles twice. And then in 2016, in her debut year, not only in Stardom, but as a wrestler in total, she challenged for the artist belts once. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking at this point. Man, I wish that I knew how many of these they actually won. Yeah, that would make sense. It would probably make the video better too, but I just wanted to focus on title shots, not on successful title shots. I just wanted to know who was the workhorse of the title scene. You know what I mean? Moving on to the next person, which is Jungle Kyona. She has a total of 1 red belt challenge, 5 white, 2 SWAs, 7 goddesses, and 8 artists. Now, the only thing surprising here to me was the 1 red. I don't know why, but in my mind, I thought she challenged for the red belt way more than once. but she didn't. In 2019, she challenged for the red belt once, the white belt twice, the goddess belts twice, and the artist belt once. That was a good year for her. All three of those single belt challenges are considered top-notch matches that are need-to-see basis. In 2018, she challenged for the white belt once, the SWA belt once, the goddess belt once, and the artist belts twice. In 2017, she challenged for the white belt twice, the SWA belt once, the goddess belts 3 times, and the artist belts twice. Then in 2016, she's one of the few people who have challenges in 2016. She has 1 goddess belt challenge and 3 artist belts. She is, without a doubt, the workhorse of title challenges. Next would be Konami, and I didn't plan on having all 3 TCS members right in a row that way. That's just kind of how it worked out after leaving out some people. She has a total of 1 red belt challenge, 2 white belt challenges, 1 high speed challenge, 2 goddesses, and 3 artists. The only thing surprising there would be the high speed belt. I would never call Konami a high speed wrestler. She's kind of farthest from a high speed wrestler, so it was pretty interesting to see that she did have 1 challenge. It was a 3-way, and I believe it was with either Starlike Kid or Izumi. In 2019, she has 1 red belt, 1 white, 1 high speed, 1 goddess, and 1 artist. In 2018, she has 1 goddess and 1 artist. 2017, she has 1 white and 1 artist, and that's it. Next is Mayu Iwatani, Stardom's icon herself, and tied for 2nd place for total. She has 6 red belt challenges, 2 white, 3 goddesses, and 4 artists. Unlike most other people on this list, her highest title shot numbers are from the singles belts. In 2019, she had 1 red belt challenge, 1 goddess, and 1 artist. That's probably why when I think of Mayu, I don't think of title shots. It's because she didn't challenge for like anything in 2019. Think about it. That's a whole year. She only challenged for 3 belts. That's on average like once every 4 months. In 2018, she challenged for 2 red belts, 1 white, 2 goddess, and 1 artist. In 2017, she challenged for 1 red belt, 1 white belt, and 1 artist belt. And in 2016, she challenged for the red belt twice and the artist belt once. Which is probably surprising to some of you. Mayu wasn't always considered the top dog in Stardom. 2016, 2017, she was playing third fiddle to Io and Kairi. Everything was about Io and Kairi, trust me. Mayu didn't get crap, and you could see from this numbers. I mean, yes, she got titles all the time and things like that, but like, she only got 2 shots at the red belt, 1 in the artist, 1 red in 2017, 1 in white, 1 in artist. Like, it's just not that many. Moving on to the next person, Momo Watanabe. Total of 3 red title shots, 2 white, 1 high speed, 4 goddess, and 5 artists. She is one of the few people who have a 2020 title shot, which was the red belt. Then in 2019, she challenged for the red belt once and the artist belts once. Now, unlike Mayu, where those low numbers meant she wasn't really doing anything, Momo's low numbers is mostly because she had a belt. For like the first half of 2019, she had the white belt and she was defending it. She also had the goddess belts at that time, which was funny to me because when I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute, didn't Momo get the goddess belts in 2019? But no, she actually won and challenged for the goddess belts with Itami right at the end of 2018. So she has 1 red belt challenge in 2018, 2 whites, 3 goddesses, and 1 artist. You can see that was the year that she really came into the top dog position. She was challenging for everything. She was getting into the main event or the semi-main event mostly all the time. In 2017, she only had 1 title shot, and that was artist. And that was because she was injured the entire year. She like tore her ACL or something like that. So this number isn't really that surprising. Can you imagine where her numbers would be if she wasn't injured the entire year? In 2016, she challenged for the high speed belt once, the goddess belts once, and the artist belts twice. Next is Natsuko Tora with a total of 1 white, 4 goddesses, and 4 artists. She is really not going for singles belts here in her career so far. In 2019, she had 2 goddess belts and 1 artist belt challenge. That was the year of John if you remember. And then in 2018, she challenged for the white belt once, the goddess belts once, and the artist belts twice. That was also the year of John. I believe that was before John was like a thing, though. I don't think John were John at the time. I could be wrong. In 2017, she challenged for the artist belts once and the goddess belts once. No 2016 challenges. Next is Saki Kashima, the newest Odo time member. Well, I guess not the newest Odo time member anymore, but total 1 white, 2 high speed, 2 goddess, and 3 artists. She really hasn't done too much, but I do believe she returned in 2018, so she's only been back in Stardom for about 2 years, so, give her a break. In 2019, she challenged for the high speed once and 2 artists. 2018, 1 white, 1 high speed, 2 goddess, and 1 artist, and that's it. I do believe it's just because she's only been here since 2018. She might have returned in 2017, but I'm not entirely sure. But these numbers would make you think that she wasn't here in 2017. Next is Starlike Kid with 4 high speed, 1 future, 2 goddesses, and 2 artists for a total. In 2019, she challenged for the high speed belt 3 times, the goddess belts once, and the artist belts once. In 2018, she challenged for the future once, the goddess once, and the artist once. And then in 2017, she has 1 lowly challenge, 1 high-speed title shot. A lot of these people that are like on top or top card now, or the main faces of Stardom, 2 to 3 years ago they weren't like anything. Like I said, Stardom back then was just Io and Kairi. That was it. Like it was like the company didn't care about anybody else except them. And Yoko Bito for that short time that she had returned. But if you look at these numbers, I mean, she goes from 1 title shot for an entire year of 2017 to 3 title shots in 2018 to 5 title shots the next year. It's just really cool to see just in numbers here the progression. Next is Tam Nakano, and that is the cutest pick. I don't even care. She's cute. The next is 2 white, 1 SWA, 4 goddess, and 5 artists. Now, I think the only surprising thing here is the SWA belt one. I don't remember that match. I don't even remember who was holding it when she challenged for it. It had to have either been Tony or Viper. Did Viper hold? Yeah, Viper held it because Itami won it off Viper. Yeah, so it either had to be Tony Storm or Viper. The other really surprising thing here is the red belt. Tam has never challenged for the red belt. That's insane to me. And I cannot wait to see who her first attempt is. It could be Mayu. But it kind of sounds like the storyline right now is that she wants to go after the white belt. So in 2019, both of her white belt challenges were from that year. 1 goddess and 2 artists. In 2018, she challenged for the SWA belt once, 3 goddesses, and 2 artists. And then in 2017, she only had 1 title shot, and that was an artist belt. Again, you can see the progression. Although she did have 1 less title shot in 2019 than she did in 2018. But that could be because she actually held belts in 2019. Whereas in 2018, she probably didn't hold any belts that I can think of. Next on the list and last is Utami Hayashishita with 1 red belt challenge, 1 white belt, 1 SWA, 1 future, 1 goddess, and 2 artists. The only belt she hasn't challenged for in her 1 year of wrestling is the high speed belt, and that's only because she has no business challenging for that high speed belt. She is really slow. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just how she wrestles. I love it. Next is, she is one of the 3 people who have a 2020 belt challenge already, and that was the white belt challenge she had against Arisa. In 2019, she challenged for 1 red belt, 1 SWA, and 1 artist, and 1 future, which she won. She also won the SWA belt and the artist belt. Anyway, in 2018, her debut year, and she debuted at towards the end of it too. Well, maybe not the end, but I think it was August or something. She had 1 goddess challenge and 1 artist challenge. It's very clear that they have high hopes for her. And there you go. That is everyone's belt challenges and everything like that. Now, I personally found this super interesting, and it brought up many conversation points in our house. So, before I go into my outro and, end the video and everything, there is one more thing I want to show you. It's just my stats spreadsheet. There you go. My stats spreadsheet that I made. It will show you everyone's stats and their total wins, the total number of times, or not wins, the total challenges they have, the total number of singles challenges they have, and then the total number of non-singles challenges they have. And as you could probably guess, Jungle is number 1 in every single category. She's the workhorse of title shots. It also includes all of the rookies and everyone else, which you're really not missing out on anything other than just like one or two of them having a future shot. A future belt shot, that's it. So there you go. Every time a Stardom signed wrestler has challenged for a title in Stardom from 2016. When doing the research, I decided to go further back to see how it would change things, and all that would change is that Mayu would have more on her numbers, and that's it, just Mayu. 2016 and before were all just people who don't wrestle there anymore, or involved either Kairi, Io, or Mayu, or was just foreigners challenging for the belts. So there's no point in considering it, as what happened back then really had no influence on today's Stardom. Before doing any research, I thought for sure Jungle would be number 1, and I guess I wasn't surprised to see she was. Jungle really is one of the go-to people if you want to legitimize your run. She can give you an amazing match while keeping both of you looking strong. It's no coincidence that out of everyone's title runs, lately, their match with Jungle is considered by a lot of people to be their best match. So guys, let me know in the comments both who you thought was going to be in the top 3 and what surprised you the most. I'm curious to know.